You've been feeding your plants and they're still dying. And the crazy part? The fertilizer is exactly why. Most gardeners never find this out until it's too late, and honestly, the stores are counting on you never knowing it at all, because the moment you do, you stop buying what you don't need. Today I'm pulling back the curtain on the plants that genuinely do better when you leave them alone. No fertilizer, no fuss, no money wasted. And if you've got even one of these growing in your yard right now, what I'm about to tell you could save that plant's life. Stick with me to the very end because the last plant on this list is one almost every gardener has, and almost everyone is quietly killing it with kindness. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening, the channel where we grow smart, spend less, and still end up with a garden that makes the neighbors stop and stare. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found us. This is your kind of place, real tips, real results, zero fluff. Before we get into it, if this kind of content is what you've been looking for, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. It's free, it helps this channel more than you know, and trust me, you do not want the next video slipping past you. Alright, let's get into it. Plant 1, Nasturtiums. Now if you've never grown these, they are one of the most cheerful, low-effort plants you can put in a garden. Bright flowers, edible leaves, great for attracting pollinators. They sound like the kind of plant you'd want to baby, right? Wrong. Nasturtiums come from the rocky, dry slopes of South America. Their roots are used to finding almost nothing in the ground. When you fertilize them, especially with anything nitrogen-heavy, the plant puts every single bit of energy into growing leaves. Big, lush, gorgeous leaves. But the flowers? They disappear. You end up with a bush that looks impressive from far away but has almost nothing blooming on it. The fix is gloriously simple. Plant them, water them occasionally, and walk away. That's it. No feeding, no fuss. The more you ignore them, the more they flower. For a budget gardener, nasturtiums are basically free color all season long. Plant 2, Lavender. This one surprises people every single time. Lavender looks so elegant, so delicate, that it feels like it must need a lot of care. But lavender is a Mediterranean plant. It grew up on dry hillsides and poor, almost sandy soil with a lot of sun and very little else. It evolved to thrive on neglect. When you fertilize lavender, the stems get long and floppy. The plant stops putting energy into those fragrant, oil-rich flowers and starts producing soft, weak growth that flops over and eventually rots. The scent weakens. The tight, compact shape falls apart. And you're left wondering what went wrong. Overwatering causes the same problem. Lavender hates wet feet. Constant moisture suffocates the roots and invites root rot. If the base of the plant stays damp, decline is almost guaranteed. In fact, lavender would rather be slightly underwatered than overwatered. What lavender actually needs is well-draining soil and full sunshine at least 6 to 8 hours a day. That's the entire list. If your soil is too rich or heavy, mix in sand, gravel, or even small stones to improve drainage. Think lean, dry, and airy, not soft and fertile. Give lavender the tough love it was built for, and it will reward you with stronger stems, more concentrated fragrance, and waves of blooms that last all season. Plant 3, Rosemary. Moving on to rosemary, and this one is especially important if you're growing it for cooking. Rosemary, just like lavender, is a Mediterranean native. Rocky soil, dry conditions, blazing sun, that's its home. It has spent thousands of years adapting to survive in tough environments. In poor soil, rosemary responds by concentrating its energy into producing the aromatic oils that protect it from pests and intense sun. Those oils are exactly what give rosemary its bold flavor and unmistakable scent. The moment you start fertilizing rosemary, something interesting happens. It grows faster, yes. The stems get taller and leafier. But the flavor drops significantly. The essential oils that make rosemary taste rich and piney become diluted by all that soft, rapid growth. You get more greenery but less intensity. Overwatering has a similar effect. Too much moisture encourages lush growth at the expense of flavor, and rosemary absolutely hates sitting in soggy soil. Wet roots can quickly lead to decline. So if you've been fertilizing your rosemary and wondering why it doesn't taste as strong as the kind from the store, now you know. Stop feeding it. Give it full sun, well-draining soil, and water only when the soil dries out. A little stress is what makes rosemary powerful, and your cooking will absolutely taste the difference. Quick pause right here because I want to make sure you're getting everything out of this video. If you're watching this and thinking, I wish I knew this before I killed my last plant, I need you to do one thing. Drop the word guilty in the comments below if you've ever over-fertilized a plant. I want to see how many of us are in this together, and I promise you, the number is going to be wild. Also, if this video has been useful so far, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find this channel, and the more gardeners we reach, the bigger this community gets. We're building something really good here together. Alright, back to the plants. Plant 4, thyme. Thyme is next, and honestly, it might be the easiest plant on this entire list to maintain on a budget. Thyme grows wild across rocky European hillsides. It hugs the ground, spreads slowly outward, and thrives where other plants struggle. Poor soil doesn't intimidate it. In fact, that's where it shines. Even in dry, neglected corners of a garden, thyme will produce tiny leaves packed with intense aroma and flavor. Fertilize it, and you run into the same issue as rosemary. The plant grows faster and looks fuller at first, but the flavor weakens. The essential oils become less concentrated, and the stems can turn woody more quickly. Instead of dense, flavorful growth, you get bulk without quality. Too much water is an even bigger problem. Thyme absolutely hates soggy soil. If it sits in overly rich, wet conditions, it can rot right at the base and collapse seemingly overnight. Good drainage is non-negotiable. Keep it lean. Keep it slightly on the dry side. Give it plenty of sun. With minimal trimming to prevent excessive woodiness, a single thyme plant can thrive for years, producing steady harvests with virtually no ongoing cost after that first planting. Plant 5, California poppy. California poppies are a little different from the others on this list because most people don't even think to fertilize them. But I'm including them because this is one of the best kept secrets in budget gardening. These plants grow naturally in dry, almost barren soil. They are one of the very few flowering plants that genuinely self-seed year after year with no help from you at all. You plant them once. They drop seeds. They come back the next season. And the season after that. Add fertilizer and the roots get too comfortable. The plant grows but loses that natural urgency to reproduce, which means fewer seeds, fewer returns, and eventually a patch that just fades out. Let them struggle just a little. A lean, slightly neglected California poppy patch is one of the most reliable sources of free seasonal color a budget gardener can have. Plant 6, yarrow. Yarrow is one of those plants that serious gardeners absolutely swear by and newer gardeners haven't fully discovered yet. It's tough, beautiful, pollinator-friendly, and spreads generously without much encouragement. It also absolutely does not need fertilizer. Yarrow is a true survivor plant. You'll find it growing in meadows, along roadsides, and in dry, compacted soil where many other plants would struggle. It's built for lean conditions. When you fertilize it, the growth becomes tall and overly soft. The stems stretch, lose their strength, and start flopping over after rain or wind. Suddenly you're staking, tying, and managing a plant that was supposed to be effortless. In poorer soil, something different happens. The stems stay shorter and sturdier. The flower clusters are tighter, and the plant holds its shape beautifully. It also tends to produce more consistent blooms because it isn't wasting energy on excessive leafy growth. Yarrow prefers full sun and well-drained soil. Once established, it's remarkably drought-tolerant and requires very little water. Every few years you can divide it to control its spread and create new plants for free. Leave it alone in average to poor soil, and yarrow will stand tall, spread naturally, and bloom season after season with almost no input from you. For a budget garden, this is exactly the kind of plant you want more of. Plant 7, Succulents and Cacti. Now we've arrived at the one I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. The plant almost everyone has, and the one almost everyone is quietly overfeeding. Succulents and cacti. These plants store water in their leaves and stems because they evolved in places where water and nutrients could disappear for months at a time. Their entire biology is built around scarcity. They are masters of doing a lot with very little. When you fertilize a succulent, a few things can happen. The growth gets stretched and pale, a condition called etiolation. The leaves become soft and mushy instead of firm and plump. And the roots, which are designed to search and adapt, become lazy and shallow. That makes the plant more vulnerable to root rot, not less. The best fertilizer for a succulent is no fertilizer at all, especially in the cooler months. If you really feel the need to feed one during its active growing season, a very diluted solution once a year is more than enough. Beyond that, trust the plant. It knows how to take care of itself far better than we give it credit for. So here's what all of these plants have in common. They were shaped by tough environments. They learned to thrive without help. And when we come along trying to do more, we end up undoing exactly what made them strong. The real lesson here isn't just about fertilizer. It's about learning to read your garden instead of reacting to it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is put your wallet away, step back, and let nature do what it's always done. That's the heart of what earthly gardening is really about. Not doing more. Doing smarter. If you made it this far, thank you, genuinely. It means a lot that you spent your time here today. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these plants are you growing right now? And which one shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one and I respond as much as I possibly can. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time. Hit that button, turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know every time we drop something new. And if you know a fellow gardener who needs to see this, share it with them. You might just save their garden. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it earthy, and keep growing.